Welcome to the San Diego Spotlight. This is Ron Greenwald, your host. San Diego Spotlight is the radio show where we interview business owners and community leaders working to keep San Diego on the forefront of positive and innovative change. Today you will be hearing the inside scoop you just simply cannot get anywhere else. And today we do have some inside scoop and we do have innovative change. We've been talking a little bit before the show. Our special guest is Amir Jafri, CEO and founder of Immunicom, Inc. Mr. Jafri, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And tell us a little bit about who you are and what Immunicom is doing in the community.
Definitely. So, as I said, I'm Amir Jafri. I'm the founder, CEO of Immunicom. My background primarily has been in healthcare and healthcare technology for the last 25 years. A lot of both health technology and biotech startups, both in Texas and here in California for the last 10 years, and also working at major medical companies in the industry. Immunicom actually is a fairly innovative concept on approach, and a completely different approach on how to treat disease, and particularly terminal diseases like cancer. The approach that we have taken is not traditional, is the best way I would describe it. We don't have a drug or some type of an invasive type of a treatment or therapy. Our focus primarily is around developing therapies that are medical devices that are external to your body, and thereby hopefully limiting any type of side effects, complications, and things of that nature, and having a broader utilization of that therapy across different types of cancers.
So again, for our listening audience, you're looking to develop cures for cancer.
Yeah, cure is a really strong,
I know that's
that's a strong word.
Or alternative treatments.
Alternative treatments. I think that's probably a better way of stating it.
Okay.
Yeah, our goal, if you think about it, is if cancer right now, as all of us know, is a very bad, terminal, debilitating disease. It physically destroys human beings, psychologically, for the patient, for the families, and financially also, actually, for the individuals, their families, and the whole health system. Our goal is that if we can take that very bad disease and make it into something that is livable, for example, if we could provide a treatment where you could live with your cancer, where it's not the cancer that's going to kill you, something else will, where we can bring it under control, get your body to be able to either fight it or keep it corralled, so to speak, then, and basically it's very similar to diabetes, where people live with diabetes. If they manage it, follow the directions, they can live very long, productive lives. So I think if we can do that, then we would be successful.
I mean, there's always a constant change in the field of anything, but certainly medicine as to what's good for you, what's bad for you, what you should do, what you should not do. In fact, in the Wall Street Journal today, there's an article on that salt is not as bad for us as we thought. So how did you, give me some of your background that got this to this point today. I'm just fascinated by the thinking that goes into this.
So really what's happened, this is across the board in healthcare, is that our knowledge of the immune system has grown, I would say, almost exponentially in the last 10 to 15 years, and especially in the last 5 to 6 years.
And why?
Well, I think a lot of it is there's just been overall advancements in the science, in medical sciences, health sciences. There are also, quite frankly, diagnostic and laboratory techniques and instrumentations that are available that allow us to do a lot more than what we could before. And what we've been able to now, as an industry, been able to come across is we're really understanding that our immune system has fairly strong mechanisms. We always knew this, but we're understanding better now these mechanisms and these pathways that can naturally affect diseases, particularly like cancer. But one thing you have to remember about cancer, unlike an infection or a virus, cancer is not an external issue. It's your own cells, right? Your normal cells that have decided to go off the reservation, so to speak, right? And start bullying. They start bullying the other cells around them, and pushing them around. And your body has a natural mechanism to basically kill your own cells. For example, your skin cells die every so often, your red blood cells die every so often. So there's a natural mechanism that exists that keeps control. and it keeps the neighborhood nice and calm and what have you. Well, cancer cell basically, we've learned either through genetic or an environmental, some type of a chemical or something comes in, alters the DNA or something, and the cell decides to go crazy. Well, one of the things it does, it uses that same mechanism that the immune system has to protect itself, to kill these cells. It uses that same mechanism to shield itself from the immune system, basically. So, and we're now understanding the pathways much better. We have a very good understanding of what these pathways are and how they actually affect the different types of cancers. And that's one of the reasons you'll see a pretty significant shift in the industry to immunotherapy. You'll probably read a lot about that Wall Street Journal.
What is that word?
Immunotherapy.
Immunotherapy, okay.
Yeah, and immunotherapy basically means therapies and treatments that are designed to stimulate the natural response of the immune system. Where we're not going to give you something that is an external chemical or something to fight for the immune system. It'll fight by itself, particularly in oncology, especially in cancer. This is where the focus is now shifting.
So the people that are on your staff, what type of people are working with you on this?
So we have people like biochemists, we have molecular biologists, we have obviously MDs on our staff. So there's a whole plethora of scientific and medical individuals. We actually over the summer also had interns. We had 3 interns from UCLA that have been working in our labs who are also science majors. And actually helping us make we've made some fairly new discoveries recently in the lab that are very promising. So it's a mix of various sciences and clinical disciplines that we have.
And if I may, this is a startup, I
Correct.
assume. So is this something that's being funded, I guess we're angel, I don't know, what's the big
Angels?
Angel
Yeah.
investors?
Correct. Yeah, we are at the stage right now where we are funded through various angel investors. A lot of them are San Diego based. Actually, a good portion of them are I will say 80% of our investors are San Diego based individuals. Some of them are very experienced in life science and health science type investments. And then we also have individuals coming from other parts of the country that are part of our investment mix.
So the mission of your company is?
The mission of our company, if you were to read our business plan, is essentially to take a very terminal disease, a very terminal bad disease, and convert it into something where it's a very manageable, livable environment for the patient.
And if I may put you on the San Diego spotlight, are we 2 years, 5 years, 10? I mean, when you all get together and the whiteboard is behind you and you go, gosh, this is 2 years, what is the...
Yeah, so when I sit there and talk to my board and my
Right.
shareholders, what do I tell them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we...
they may be listening.
They may be listening. Actually, they know I'm on here, so they may be listening. We think we're actually quite far along. Now, one of the unique things about what we are doing is we are not a drug. As I mentioned, we are looking for a...
So there's no FDA...
No, there is an FDA component.
There
There's
isn't?
definitely...
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes, there's definitely an FDA component to what we do, and that's a very big component to what we do. But the device classification that we are going to be going after with the FDA follows a different path than, let's say, if you had a drug. If you were producing some kind of a compound or a drug, it's a much more lengthy, elaborate process that you have to go through. Because we are looking forward toward device classification, we can actually take a little bit of a different path. We still have to do all the science and all the validation and the safety and efficacy, everything that you would do. Anything, obviously, if you're going to treat a human being or an animal, you have to look into that, and safety and the benefit of the patient, welfare of the patient is paramount. But one thing that we've looked at is, where we have our product, our initial product actually is finished. It's done. It's in the lab. It's passed all of our internal tests. We actually currently are conducting a study with canines, with dogs, companion animals.
We're going to talk at length about that.
Right, and it's at a local major veterinary center. And we think that at least in the veterinary market, we believe that we can be releasing a product to treat for animals within a 12-month time frame. And then we are looking at beginning planning for our human studies the early part of next year.
I mean, this is, as I say, the word cancer is just, you say that word, it's just, everybody just cringes at that. So again, and I'll put you a little bit on the spotlight again, is that we've heard this Ebola, and I'm a novice, the Ebola, and all of a sudden, out of the, out here, right here in San Diego, some company has a drug, and it seems to have bypassed every FDA, So if somebody is listening to this show and is at, I don't know, it's the 3rd or 4th stage cancer, I mean, gosh, they're desperate.
Yes, and that's one of the most difficult things, I think, about the work that we do. It's not just individuals as you're describing. I can tell you I have family members that actually fit that criteria that you're describing.
Sorry.
Young family members, who recently have been diagnosed with stage 3 and stage 4 types of cancers. Our investors have family members and friends. I mean, that's the thing about cancer. There's a book, it's a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. It's called The Emperor of All Maladies, and it's referring to cancer. It is a very insidious disease, and it reaches pretty much every aspect of society.
I mean, as you being an expert in that field, I mean, as I say, is it in 1700? Cancer was there, and just nobody knew it because everybody would just, there was no treatment.
Right.
So when did the first treatments come along? I mean, how long is this?
Well, actually, the first treatments started, there were surgical treatments, and a lot of them were focused on breast cancer for women. And they actually go back to the 1800s, late 1800s. So those are pretty severe, and I wouldn't really call them treatments. If you actually read about them, it's more like torture.
Torture.
Yeah, and but if you look at modern treatment, say chemotherapy, they started seeing things around the turn of the last century, around mid-1900s, started recognizing the use of some of these chemicals, so to speak, and they started. There's a whole bunch of steps that happened. So it was around then where they really started understanding, and it was really, I would say, in the 50s where they really tried to push the envelope. Where, okay, how far can we take this? And we still do this in many cases, where you give a person a regimen of chemotherapy and you basically push them to the point of they can't take it anymore.
So, I mean, in your Immunicom, if I'm pronouncing that, Immunicom, is really looking not to eradicate, there's no eradication of this dreaded disease. It's more of a maintenance of it?
I would say that's correct, yes. That we believe that the approach that we're using to stimulate the immune system, and the early results we're seeing seem to indicate this, that we can have the disease become either a stable disease, or we can theoretically eradicate it up to a certain point. And again, it's something that, it won't kill you. Something else will eventually get you. It won't be your cancer. For example, if you were to do an autopsy on most males over 75, you would find that most of them have prostate cancer. It's just that the cancer was not growing fast enough
or Alzheimer's.
Or Alzheimer's, yes, exactly. It's just how fast
at 85.
Right. How fast does the disease progress relative to your lifespan?
Right.
So if you can either halt the disease progression in its tracks, or contain it, and then lead a normal life, well, that's great. Now, if we can reverse the disease progression, which this is something also we're going towards, then that's icing on the cake, so to speak.
Well, this sounds like a real game changer, and I understand what you are testing on or working on is dogs. Is that right?
Correct. Right. And one of the reasons we're looking at companion animals. So what we do is we actually work on people. These animals are people's family members, their pets. So
more than that.
Yeah,
as we know.
In many cases, a lot more than that. So they are our patients. We treat them as patients. There's no delineation between them and a human patient. And
you know what? We went long, Doc, and I gotta stop for a commercial timeout. So this is fascinating. If you do have a pet that you love and adore, and maybe is getting older and maybe has an issue, this is something you really want to stay tuned and listen to the second part and the rest of the show. We will be right back with Amir Jafri, President, CEO, and founder of Immunicom, Inc. Stay tuned. Don't go away.